Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us here. And as a board member of Space City, we're very, very proud and happy to have Gabriel here to joining us. And of course, we give a big thanks to all the team that have done an amazing job, all the team from Space City. And thank you guys for coming. I know there was a lot of traffic out there, so it's kind of hard to get here. So that's why we try to give a little more time. I have been fortunate to know Gabriel since he was a child. Born in Mexico City with deep nostalgic ties to his family's hometown of Colima, he has always possessed an extraordinary sensitivity. A perfectionist to the point of obsession, Gabriel has developed remarkably acute and sophisticated visual perception, enabling him to recognize the essence of natural beauty in every moment and wherever he stands. He transforms these phenomenological experiences into meticulously crafted works of art. His artistic practice follows rigorous protocols designed to eliminate error. Yet, when mistakes inevitably occur, he embraces them, allowing chance and natural forces to assume part of the authorship. This openness to contingency gives his work both precision and vitality. As Maria Minera has observed, Gabriel's art is not simply the systematization of processes that privilege geometry and repetition. His extraordinarily labor-intensive creations are accompanied by exhaustive records in which everything is meticulously accounted for. During the making of a work, a parallel act of counting unfolds. For example, documenting exactly 26,088 hairs or pelos, turning measurement itself into an integral part of the artistic process. Gabriel's work belongs comfortably within the tradition of minimalism, a movement that has recently experienced renewed attention through exhibitions such as Minimal at the Bourse de Commerce in Paris. Minimalism has often been misunderstood as a reductive exercise aimed at emptiness or austerity. In reality, it proposes something far more profound, a metaphysical encounter between the spectator and the object within a specific space and time. Through abstraction, it seeks not reduction for its own sake, but the revelation of the essence, the pursuit of an idea unfolding through experience. At its height during the 1960s and 70s, before the rise of postmodernism, minimalism extended beyond the visual arts into architecture, land art, music, dance, and film. Figures such as Walter de Maria, Donald Judd, Richard Serra, Robert Ryman, Bridget Riley, Don Flavin, Sol Levitt, Merce Cunningham, John Cage, and Philip Glass explored new ways of creating contemplative self-reflective experiences. While most avoided explicit political or social narratives, artists such as Kishi Osuga and the Monoha movement demonstrated that minimalism could also engage broader philosophical and cultural questions. It was an intellectually ambitious movement, never intended as an aesthetic of emptiness. Gabriel's career is reaching an exciting new peak with major solo exhibitions at the Museo Jumex and the Marco Museum in Mexico, earning him increasing international recognition. As both an artist and as an architect, he reestablishes the essential dialogue between space, object, and spectator, reminding us that art is not merely something we observe, but something we inhabit and experience. Please join me in giving Gabriel a warm welcome. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Javier. Thank you so much, Space City, to organize this and make possible this. The first time I have been in Seattle. I have been 2 days here, and I'm in love of this place, nature, architecture, and many water, no pollution. And it's really, I feel safe also. That is really incredible, and I'm human in a way. So thank you so much, all the team, all the videos and the presentation and everything that you have been done through media and everything is incredible. And Javier told me that is a team that is young and everything with a lot of enthusiasm and professionalism. I'm really speechless about that. And Javier and I met Javier Gomez when I was 17 years old. I was in high school. He was my teacher in drawing. Then, by surprise, he was my teacher in architecture at Anáhuac University when I studied architecture for 5 years. After that, we became partners. We create an architecture firm in Mexico in the 95, 96. And then my father died and I moved to Colima, and then everything started. After 40 years, we have been connected, in touch. I was celebrating my 30 years as an artist. I quit architecture, but I will talk about later about that and how I became an artist. And this connection between art and architecture has been really important. At the Jumex exhibition that I just presented in September 2025 to February 2026, we have been talking and we organized this kind of talk. And I will share more than 180 slides. I'm going to be really fast. I'm going to put like a chronometer because I have just 1 hour. And I will start. So I will start just explaining, because everybody told me, what does this title mean? It's like these consonant vowels. I'm left-handed, I'm dyslexic, I write backwards. So another of many possibilities that I see numbers and letters. And another way of writing is separating consonants of vowels, is conceptos, ideas. And there are 124,057 are the people and visitors of the Jumex Museum exhibition. So everything has a connection between numbers and letter. And this is me, 57 years ago, in September 23rd, 1968. I'm the second of 5 children in the family. I got the same name of my father, Gabriel, as a first male in the family. So repetition is a very important idea as a person, also as an architect, also as an artist. And the first repetition was the same name of my father. Also, my grandparents, they got married between relatives and family. So my father is Gabriel de la Mora de la Mora. The 2 last names are also another repetition. So repetition and differences are something that has been really important to me. As a dyslexic, I draw before I wrote and talk somehow. So drawing has been something really important in my thing. My mother kept all the drawings I was doing. I don't know when I did this. Maybe I was 5 or 6 years old. And I remember that sometimes the teachers talk to my mother and they say, why Gabriel is always drawing accidents, fires, dead people, and these kind of things. And is he okay? And I don't know, I just start collecting these things. Someday I had hair. I was 4 years old in kindergarten. And in kindergarten, besides all the drawings my mother kept, that it was amazing, she just kept 1 page like this with the letter M. She was a teacher, also my father was a teacher, and it was incredible. And I'm really thankful about my mother, why she kept this letter M page. It was presented at Museo Jumex, a review of 22 years of my career from 2023 to 2003 to 2025, 22 years. And to me, this is my first artwork. And with this starts the question, when an artist starts as an artist or a career as an artist. I really remember that the first time I grow totally backwards, from right to left. I remember the teacher telling me, Gabriel, this is fine, just try to do it from left to right. So it's interesting that when you are in the opposite direction and way that the rest of the class, of the classmates, you have to change what you are and you have to become someone else to follow the majority of the group. What I think is amazing to think about that this is my first art piece is that the teacher put my name 19 times the letter M. I repeated 152 times in the opposite way that I did it originally. And then I decided to turn back the page to repeat the assignment without the teacher telling me that to do it. 123 times forward as I am, 23 times in the other way that I'm not as I am, and just one in the middle of the stick, forward and backward, showing like the confusion of a child trying to do this. So with this piece and this repetition and everything makes sense. I will start the lecture with this, and I will finish the lecture with this. Because with Humek's exhibition, I was really impressed to see that when I was 4 years old, this page and the rest of my work through 30 years is exactly the same. I present this at my Master of Fine Arts at Pratt with the Fulbright Scholarship from 2001 to 2003 in one class. And we spent 3 classes discussing all these things. And what our answer maybe was, the only way to be different is to be yourself. Something that sounds really easy, but is the most complicated thing that everything happened. You have to break rules, you have to break education, religion, culture, and many other things. On high school, after meeting Javier as a teacher, when I was 18, just before finally choose architecture, because I was afraid to be an artist, because I was scared that I cannot live from what I most love, that is art. So that's why I choose architecture. And I remember that I say, why make sense to be left-handed, write backwards from right to left, is how the right-handers do from left to right. So I decided from 18 years old until now that I'm 57, all my personal writing, my signature, legal, and everything is completely backwards. And another way of writing is as a title, separating consonants and vowels in many directions. So with this is part of my sketchbooks and everything. I'm separating consonants and vowels, repeating, counting all the times, pairs, non-pairs, and these kind of things. So writing ideas is something really important, and this is my thesis. As you can see here, I don't have a computer. In the studio, everything is handmade. That's why this is my thesis in architecture in Mexico in 1991. This is the Daniel Ibescain Ecuación del Mal Dolor portrait that I did. And something that it was really interesting is that I never understood the computers in the early 90s and late 80s. So I asked for permission to do it by hand. All the plans, all the thesis is the only thesis in the Anáhuac University done by hand. So it's me, in a way. And this is a connection between art and architecture that is in the part of the thesis. My father, with the same name, he died in August 4, 1993. I was 25 years old. So that thing, it was like a breaking point to not close. I left the architecture firm to Javier. I moved from Mexico City to Colima. That is from all my family comes from. And then I was there for 3 years to do an experimental kind of architecture in a way. This is the only picture I have. I was 27 years old in Colima. It was June 8, 1996. And I decided there to quit architecture because I really love architecture and love to be an artist. I was 27, and I thought at that time, and I really believe that you need to be full-time as an architect or full-time as an artist. And this is why the function and the service that architecture has. It was the difference between choosing an architect or architecture. So I decided to become an artist. So I moved from Colima to New York, and then come back to Mexico. And then in 2001 to 2003, got the Fulbright Scholarship and Jacques and Natasha Gelman Scholarship to study at Pratt. This is my studio at Pratt. In 2001. I just arrived 1 month before September 11, and I was 2 years there, and everything changed. All the way that I was thinking about to become an artist and everything, and the way to see architecture, painting, drawing, and sculpture. My Master of Fine Art, this was my studio as a student at Pratt, and if you visit my studio in Mexico, it's the same. It's full of ideas, it's full of things, it's full of everything. All the time. I was exploring, this is my best teacher, Jack Zakarian, the new forms, non-traditional investigation of art. I'm part of my team of classmates from all the world, that it was incredible. It was an incredible experience. And this is from the Jumex Museum. Also the book from the Jumex Museum is here. It's gonna be a book signing at the end. And this book celebrates 30 years of my career as an artist, and is the best exhibition I have ever presented in every way. I'm pushing the boundaries of painting, drawing, and sculpture in different directions. I draw before I speak and I talk, so drawing and images are the best way to explain everything with me. On my class, this is one of the last paintings I did in 2003. That's why it's the only painting done by me, acrylic on canvas, in 2003. And it's the beginning of the proposal, museography and curatorial proposal from Tobias Ostrander, that is the curator of Latin American art at Tate Modern in London. And this is, after 30 years as an artist, I can say that everything is formal and conceptual. There are two concepts that they cannot be separated, one without the other one. Everything is a monochrome, an abstraction, and an image. The monochrome, the abstraction, and the image is exactly the same. In forward is a birth or apparition, and backward is like a death or disappearance. So this is a pixelated image that could be from very far away a person, a portrait. Then you go closer and it's a grid of pixels that is an abstraction, and then could be reduced into one pixel or one color that is a kind of monochrome. So with this, the portrait and the image has been really important. This is my father when he was 25 years old. He got a priest in 1951 when he was 25 years old. 42 years later, when he died in his funeral, I discovered that he was priest. I was 25 years old. And this coincidence of two Gabriel de la Mora separated 42 years, in one becoming a priest and in the other one discovering that my father was a priest, that it was a hidden thing, create many projects and ideas. But with this, I decided to create a drawing, a portrait of my father, exhuming his hair and skull for some pieces, and then including two members of the family that they were dead in 1971 and 1993, a sister and my father, and with the DNA and the hair of both, create a portrait with the hair of my mother, me from my body, and my sister, another brother, to create with the DNA of the 7 direct members of the family, to create the portrait of my father. So I decided when I quit architecture, the best way to see architecture, it was when I was out of architecture. So that's why if I want to push the boundaries of painting, drawing, and sculpture, I need to quit painting to see how can I go. I paint very well, I draw very well, but painting, drawing, and sculpture could be much more than the virtuosism and the technical aspect of something. I have to get away from the comfort zone and explore these medias with things that they could be impossible to be done by me and maybe sometimes be done by any human. So with that, each of the hairs are stick by hand. Then I go more complicated, creating geometric drawings with hair also. And then start to developing the hair drawings. I have been working from 2004 until now, 22 years, with the hair drawings that are exploring. I'm here tidying hair by hair to create a piece that is 361. I don't know why is this thing here, but oh yeah. 364 human hairs with 462 perforations and 1,178 knots on paper. Each of the hairs, each of the knots, and everything are counted. Most of the titles of my works is universal, are numbers, are amounts, and each of the elements that compose each of the pieces. These are structures, those are drawing, those are painting somehow, they are structures, they contain genetic information, they are portraits, they are everything and nothing at the same time. There are a lot of very different levels through 22 years working with this media. This is, I start getting out from the paper and getting into the line between drawing and sculpture, and then I decide to use how I came out with the human hair drawings. It was after I quit painting, and I used the methodology that I work perfect as an architect. If I'm going to design a door, has to be a door that I never have seen. All the doors that I have seen and live in a way, they are discarded. I need to start from defining what does a door is, and from that definition, start a new idea of a new door in a way. So using that methodology, I decide that if I'm going to quit painting for a while to explore and expand the function and the idea of a painting on what does a painting is, I'm going to use it with the drawing, but I'm going to use the same methodology. So if I'm going to draw, it could not be pencil, charcoal, ink, anything connected of what does I know as a drawing. So after founding one definition, a drawing is a group of dots and lines that create an image of an idea or concept on paper. After thinking how can I use as a line and a dot, it was a hair. The hair is a line and a dot in two different directions. So I arrived to a barber shop. When they saw me with no hair, they laughed and they said like, you are not a client, what do you want? So I say, I'm an artist, I don't have hair, so what do you do with the hair that you have haircuts? They said, we throw it away. Can you give it to me to do a project or sell it to me? And they say, take it. So I start exploring, and after using the hair as a line, I decide to expand the idea of seeing in a way, because the first impact of any artwork, even if it's the most conceptual, always is visual by the emotions. So I was at that time in 2008, more or less, I was exploring another ways of seeing without eyes, through psychics or brujos or something, and through blind people that they saw by touching and feelings and many other ways. So I decided to use the hair of blind people. This is Pedro, that he decided to cut all his hair and look like me to give it for the project. And by exchanging a free haircut in an institution of blind people in Mexico City. So with the hair of Pedro, the idea is to use the paper not anymore as this position, is going to be like a book, like this. And in between pages, I'm going to start sticking hair by hair by the separation of two pages to create a drawing that could be seen by blind people by touching. So this piece is 41,401 human hairs in a book or block of 6,630 pages. In a way, if we have 6,630 pages book. It will be 1 meter and 2 centimeters thick in a way, as the block that is here. And when they touched the drawing, nobody saw 43 circles or 41,401 hairs. All of them, they see a landscape and something like that it was really amazing. This is part of a video, and the sticks is a kind of nature, is a space, is a kind of connection of architecture and landscape, but also it could be a kind of like drops of a rain or something just expanding the water and frozen in the space. After that, this is the Museo Jumex exhibition, where it was presented many of the pieces, and they are on the book that is going to be signed at the end. It's the best exhibition in many directions. It's a selection of 87 works in 6 groups with the title La Petite Mort, and the space by David Chipperfield, the architect, is incredible. It's a perfect space to hold an exhibition like this, and to even the most tiny piece or the biggest piece presented there in this space is incredible. This is another of the pieces. It's a 10 by 10 by 10 centimeters cube, using hair, trying to be social in a way that in Mexico we have a lot of very poor people, medium class, and very few very rich people. So the idea is to use hair from in these proportions of the poor, of the middle class, and the rich people, all together, smash it, created a cube, and put them in the same level, in a way. Museo Jumex is, to me, one of the best or most important museums in Mexico, one of the most important museums in the world, and it's free. And it was incredible to see all the people, the 124,670 people that visit the museum, that they visit because it's free many times, and there was everyone in the same level as the piece that was here. I did the same. I have been collecting the dust of my studio and the dust of my house to create this kind of cubes. And I asked since the beginning to the Museo Jumex to every Monday that they clean the gallery where the exhibition is, to collect the dust with all the remains of hair and everything, because I want to do, the public was something really important to me in this exhibition. And I'm going to start doing cubes from each of the exhibitions anywhere that I have been doing, and do something with the remains of all the visitors of each exhibition there. That's why after 79 guide tours that I did to the public in there, at the end I took a selfie to have the faces of many of the DNA and remains and the people that were there for the exhibition, and create a piece with all the remains. This is one of the boxes of dust and everything that they gave it to me. And with this, I will start like connecting. There's 2 ways to see my work, in a way, without information and with information. That's why the guide tours to me was really important, the label, giving some information of each of the pieces, or you don't need to see anything and you can just interpret it and can see what you see. This is a monochrome, it's a grid, it's an abstraction, and it's an image. It's a piece I did on July 19, 2012. I always wait in the morning, immediately that I just stand up. At that time, I was 83.9 kilograms, and I bought 1 meter square of white tiles of 10 by 10, of 10 by 10. And the idea, it was to put aluminum, each of the tiles, put my left, my right feet, one with the same, doing the same action 100 times with my same weight, and all the cracks of the tails, they are completely different. It's a repetition with differences. There are not 2 DNAs identical. There are not 2 thumbprints. Everything in nature is a mirror image. the same thing forward and backwards in many directions. And this is a performance, this is a kind of action that is very connected with many things. I love to start using things that they are used by floors or walls in architecture, or finding houses from, this is a house from 1882 in Colonia San Rafael in Mexico City. Altamirano 20 is the address. So the title of the works here are the ceilings that they were created to accomplish a function of covering the wood beams of the houses, because right now we put sheetrocks and everything, but it's the elements of a painting, of a traditional painting, a fabric, a preparation, and painting in a horizontal thing. I really liked here the idea. It was the first return to painting in a way. After quitting in February 2004, painting, in 2006, April 6, I did the first test. I waited 6 years to see how stable these materials could be working with historians, that they change all the idea to create as an artist many things. And the idea here, it was to cut this, they were close to fall down. So everything here is created to accomplish a function and a service. When the service is over and became remains or garbage, the end of something could be transformed into the beginning of something else through art. So what I did is to find the historians, cut the ceilings. I did it without mask, and there are some historians, they say, you have to keep safe everyone there, so you wear mask. So, and after that, this is half of the room of the ceilings, and with the historians, we spent months restoring and stopping the deterioration of all these fabrics, these paintings. And the first time I saw the final product, I thought that it was a great idea, but when I saw that, it was something incredible. I was born in September 23, 1968, but this fabric was created in 1882, years and years before my birth. And how an art piece could start a process before the birth of the artist, to put this painting and date it in 2012, and using an element that is architectonical, that becomes a remain. And if I want to paint like this, it will be impossible. With this, I was really interested to see why spirals start appearing here. This is part of the flakes and everything. All the energy of all these spaces through centuries that they were created is a monochrome, is an abstraction, and is an image. Many of these houses, they just are the facades. They were destroyed, all the inside, to create apartments and a renovation. All the process and the documentation of all these ceilings are really incredible. They are performance, they are a connection with death or birth, they are a connection of transformation in many levels. The poetry of all these actions and the process of all these works, I always thought that I will return into architecture, not anymore as an architect, but as an artist, and creating and looking all these images, they were incredible. They were an incredible experience. They are the process of any of all these ideas and exploration and expandation of painting, they are incredible. This is a very important ceiling of the same house. And it's incredible how something like this, with all the cracks and everything, can create another extremely important series. How from the ceilings, from all houses that I started in 2006, I wait 6 years until 2012, and in 2012, I decide to finish the series. But with this special piece, I decide to create another series using eggshell fragments of white chickens Bowen's White from the branch San Juan. They are commercial chickens. To create, I start in 2012. I was glued with the finger, breaking the eggshells until they cannot break anymore, and start gluing each of the fragments in a 4 by 4 centimeters, 16 centimeters square, and take time to see how long does it take me to create a 16 centimeters square, gluing in 1 minute, 25 seconds each of the fragments. And with that information, to see how it's gonna take me, how long it's gonna take me to create a 2 meters by 2 meter piece of these really tiny fragments of eggshells. This piece has 467,685 fragments of white eggshells. The most complicated thing is to not create spots or lines. It's a surface, a white, pure surface. The most minimal thing that you can go through painting is a white monochrome, a white surface. Here, with the maximum time, work, and effort. In the beginning of the series in 2012, that math take me 4 years and a half to create a piece like this full time, 9 hours a day, 5 days a week, to create a piece like this. I said, no way, I was alone in the studio, I need more hands. So after 2012, I decided to trust to see if someone else can, by instructions and supervision, can do this. They did it, so I raised the second one, the third one. Right now we are 26, and people creating most complicated things. And then it was incredible how you can go from the minimum to the maximum and the maximum to the minimum, the two really big streams. It was the same thing that to think about the architectonic things, and in Oaxaca, Santo Domingo convent, it took 300 years to be built. He was frustrated as an architect, I think, to create a project that will take 300 years to be done. So they will see maybe just the beginning. The people that they were in the middle, they never saw the beginning or the end. And the ones that they finished, they never saw the beginning in a way. So time, it was something that it was really incredible. And with these eggshell pieces, start this new section. With the surface of the eggshells, I said, I need to find a material to have a reflection and to see what happened. I went with the blown glass spheres of 7 centimeters of the diameters to break them. And after breaking them, I discovered that the inside is convex and the reflection is upside down. And the concave is upside down, the image, and the convex is in a regular size. So this creates a kind of a visual dyslexia, that everything goes to the opposite. What you see that is going up is down, and is down is up. What you see is right is left, and is left is right. I can spend hours doing this. After working into these ideas, the reflection of color, it could be a monochrome, it could be any color that could be in front. This is me doing a performance, appearing and disappearing, going up and down, left and right, in a kind of visual dyslexia, and it's really incredible. After looking into all these kind of things, I'm showing here what you see in the right is a black part of the section of this big piece that was also presented at Jumex, that is also in the book. And with this, if you see yourself, start breaking. It's a repetition and differences. There will be one point, if the piece has 24,796 fragments, you will see your image repeated 24,796 fragments, 10,575 times upside down, and 14,221 times forward as what you are. And it's creating an illusion of two levels or two surfaces when it's just one. Here I'm showing some of the images, how it's repeated, and look at each of the things. And with that, I discovered that I can also use bigger fragments of eggshells using the inside that is concave and the outside that is convex. And it's really interesting how you can go forward and backward in many directions. Here is really interesting the process of working with mixing right now the two materials. Right now in the fourth level of this exhibition, of this series, I decide to mix the backgrounds will be actual fragments, and then I will create circles to, this is the way how I count and classify and we classified in the studio a team, how can I break the blown glass spheres, how can I break the actual fragments. Each of the fragments are counted. There was a teacher that he told me that, Gabriel, if you are counting and giving a title that long, there will be, if someone has an obsession to count each of the fragments to create this title, there will be a viewer that could be more obsessive than you and will want to recount it and prove that it's true what you are saying. And when that happened, I always say there could be a percentage of mistakes, because there's a rule in the studio with many rules that if you don't remember, if you count it, I prefer one less that is a mistake than one extra that is a lie. And I always will prefer the mistake than the lie, in a way. Here is really interesting that it's creating an illusion of a movement, an illusion of three levels when it's just one. All the concave goes into the left, all the convex goes into the right, going up and down in many directions. And the eggshells is creating another function. So the illusions of two levels right now is an illusion of movement when it's no movement, and there are many other illusions pushing the boundaries of the synetism that is a movement from the 60s and 50s that is quite very interesting in one way. And here is something really incredible, how each of the series, I have been working in the last 5 years in 17 new series, working with historians, externals and internals, partners from the studio, trying to doing research. Sometimes it takes us more than 10 years to do a research of some materials to see if it could be done and created. I have been 11 years working with a project that is my house, and with this house that is designed by Frida Escobedo, that she is incredible. It's a portrait of me in a way, as she said, but it's a real great connection between art and architecture. I asked to Frida to see if I can do in the glass of the staircase, with that glass of more than 3 by 3 meters, I will place 8 circles that there are like loops that create this effect of the things. And this a repetition, because it's a double glass thing that is really incredible to create this kind of illusion. It took us more than 2 years to create the machine and to do a lot of tests, to see a lot of money, time, work and effort to finally, like 3 weeks ago, it was done, and I'm still jumping, looking how many, I never expect many of the things. When the sun comes through, the things are going like dots, moving through the stairs of concrete, and then the outside of the garden is always kind of these different connections, creating like kind of performance into the thing. So this is the drawing of the 8 circles. That is the way that you are projecting how can you go up and down in both sizes and both directions in architecture. But it's an amazing architectonic element of a glass of a window creating an art piece. It's the first piece of a new series that I just start into this thing. And then in August 19, you can see my backwards writing here. It was the first test I did because I started using hair, eggshells, feathers, dust, shoe soles, many. I have storages and storages full of materials that I have been collecting through years and I have been using. But as a child, I always dreamed to paint with colors and patterns directly from nature through butterfly wings. This is the first test I did in August 19, 2019, just a few months before COVID. And it's incredible how all the butterflies fragments, they look identical, but when you cut them and put them one next to the other one, they are completely different. So repetition is full of differences in every way, and is an experiment through grids and many other elements, always pushing the boundaries between painting, drawing, and sculpture, pushing the boundaries between the monochrome, the abstraction, and the image. And that's something that we have been talking a lot, Javier and I, with this. It's interesting how, as an artist, I discovered that everybody is so different. I don't believe that there are two genders, male and female. If we are 400 million people, there will be 400 million of genders. Each person has a kind of different gender. There are not two DNAs identical, there are not two thumbprints identical, so there are not two things. So why most of the artists, most of the paintings are the same? Why most of the architecture is the same when we are completely different? And when you are completely different, you have to erase yourself and become someone else to follow the majority in many other ways. There are many things that they have been changed, and they have to change in many ways. And the best way to be yourself is to be different, is to be yourself in a way. So I'm going to return right now to my architecture, as I always says and thought, not anymore as an architect, as an artist, using architecture as a media. I don't know quite sure if I'm going to use as a service a function, that it was something that really scares me. But the colors of nature are really incredible. So I read that some species of butterflies, the colors are done for what they eat. Maybe it's pollen in this amazing and incredible blue. This is the way that we classified in the studio. There are thousands and thousands and thousands of small plexi boxes, because each of the fragments, they have to be disinfected in these containers, cut it, and one by one, if they touch, they will be damaged. So we cannot touch the fragments. Visit the studio and see all these kind of process are really incredible. There are no better patterns than nature in a way. They are really incredible. And besides nature, I always work with materials, organic, inorganic, and synthetic materials. The title of the exhibitions that we were talking about with Javier, it was Conceptos and Ideas, Concepts and Ideas, that it was really important. It's really amazing how this is a piece, it was a painting signed as Mario Carreño, dated at 1946, and it was oil on painting that a collector from Ecuador bought in the late 90s in a gallery in Miami for $150,000 US. 5 years later, he wants to put it in an auction in two of the most important auction houses in New York, and both they said that it was fake. They paid $10,000 to an expert to go to Cuba to do the research to see if it was fake or original. It was fake. With all the information, he went to the gallery in Miami and he wants his money back, and he proved that it was a kind of fake. They said, no, we cannot return the money, but we can change for a Picasso or Matisse. And they say, anything you give me is a fake for me. If you don't give me back my money, I will sue you and destroy you. He won after 2 years of paying the lawyers to the trial. It was published and it was public. And with all the information, I decided with Francisco Reyes Palma in 2001, in 2011, sorry, I decided to start questioning why art has to be original, what makes us original to us humans to create or think about original thoughts. Does originality exist? And with the original, immediately as a left-handed and dyslexic, I always go to the opposite, that is a fake. So the idea was to talk with this collector, explain the project, and exchange his fake and all the documentation through a work of mine, that it was an original. And with all this information, I decided to, by an act of destruction, transform an image into a monochrome and a fake Mario Carreño into an original of Gabriel de la Mora and return it into the market. I burned plastic trash bags to create a monochrome that with a gunfire burned the wood frame, and with a candle create and erase as a monochrome the image that is in the center. It was shown in the Museo Jumex. Also next to this, Leonora Carrington, that has an accent in the O, so also the fakers has misspelling mistakes. So it was, of course, not an Leonora Carrington, and it was, I decided to create a line to erase half of the piece, create a second canvas, and with all the, just left the signature with the date, 1961, and the historian gave me 13.8 grams of pigment that I mixed with linseed oil, then to transform the image into a monochrome and the fake Leonora Carrington into the original of Gabriel de la Mora and return it into the market. This happened the same with The Island of the Dead by Arnold Bleking. But doing all this process, if I can paint like this, it will be incredible. It's formal, it's conceptual, there are many, many things. I have archives of hundreds and thousands of fakes Frida Kahlo. She has, I think, no more than 120 paintings in a total, and she has thousands and thousands of fakes. So Frida Kahlo paints more after she died than in life, in a way, but the amount of fakes and not original things. So using with this idea of the walls and that they receive layers and layers and layers of paint, I decided to create 6 60 by 60 panels, putting different arrangement of colors, black and white and gray, and then 3 in colors. And after 7 months applying layers and layers by rules, I decided to cut them, because a painting cannot be just a surface, or could be in the surface. Could be in the size of 3,936 layers of paint. Here has the inside and the outside. You can see there are many things that I can do with control and no control, that there are 2 things. There are things that I do by my hands, and there are things that I do by instructions and supervision by other people. And there are things that you will see that I just put them in the roof, or found the fabrics of the speakers, that the pieces are done by music through time and not by any human touch. Here, all the layers starts from here, 300 layers of black, then 150 layers of green, until going to 81 layers of white and 5 layers of varnish that create these kind of pieces. And with that, I decided to question why painting has to be, we have to take care about painting, protecting from climate, from temperature, from dust, from light, from many other things. So I decided to paint 12 layers of enamel in different panels, black panels. I put them into the roof to expose through light, through humidity, rain, hailstorm, and everything. And this happened after 9 months of exposure, 294 days in 2016. It was incredible that the hail creates circles and the spirals appear with the temperature of the heat of the sun during the day with the cold of the moon during the night. And these changes of temperature start expanding the spirals. So I return into the ceilings, that the spirals that appear in the ceilings were heats from sticks that they were close to the candle when they were clean because they were very high ceilings. And here the hail create perfect circles with perfect spirals, and those are the elements of any living thing, as an insect, plant, human, or anything. I can see art, and as an artist, close to science and nature and many other things. Each repetition and difference. There were 9 panels, and each of the 9 panels, they have different patterns with the same elements, but repetition with different, created in many, many, many directions. This is also by Jumex. And with this idea of the exposure, I did a project in a residence of 1 year, that the project has to last in Monterrey 1 year. I gave a tour to the city, and I was really impressed. I love the nature and the mountains that you have in Seattle. Here is Monterrey, Cerro de las Mitras, and a company of concrete are destroying and disappearing the mountain to transform it into concrete. And that's why we have a lot of problems with the climate change. So my idea for the project, it was to find in flea markets oil paintings from 1950s to 2000, that there were landscapes, mountains, and then I expanded into sea because all these problems had been working in any natural material. And the idea is why, if the humans are destroying nature, right now nature will destroy the representation of nature by humans through these oil painting landscapes, and through the fragmentation, the wind and the rain, they will be returned into the nature somehow. Then there were 1 year and then take it out. Some disappear very well. This is like Bob Ross Happy Trees painting from the 70s in a landscape. And after 589 days exposed into the roof, this happened. The colors have changed, and this is a very good painting somehow because it resists the trees, happy trees, and many other colors. Some disappear. And I have been in all the process when it was raining. It's interesting how the lake is full of water, and then the raindrops start getting this kind of circles that they are playing like guns or like many other things interpreted of the process. Every time that we remove the painting, it's interesting, the remains of the ghost somehow image of all the things. And this happened after 81 days in this painting that it was from Granada. All the fragments is connected with the actual pieces. They were exposed 58 days, this one. It was, his remains, it was from 1962. If I can paint like this, it will be incredible. It's incredible. All these spirals are hailstorms, that there were many of them in 445 days, more than a year. So, and it's like a starry sky somehow from Van Gogh in a way. I really love this kind of connections between art and nature and science. This is a video of the burnt papers. This is another series that is very important also in my career and for me. The idea is my thesis at Pratt. The idea is to try to do something, just initiating an action, and without the control of the artist, just burning a paper. The paper from flat and white, it will turn into black, and then after black start appearing these lines. These lines transform the black into gray and destroyed. I don't know why. There are some papers that they don't turn from black to gray and they didn't destroy it, they stayed. And something as ephemeral as burning a paper is becoming eternal. This is incredible. no edition is what is going to happen with a burnt paper appearing and disappearing, and something as ephemeral as burning a paper is becoming eternal until getting just one dot and then disappear. I love it. I never thought that it would be a piece. I never thought that it would be a series. I never thought that the MoCA Museum in LA, Museo Jumex, will buy this and be part of the collection. And it's some of the most important works in my work. I love it. This is the same thing that you saw in the video. Look at this, how the letters of black toner is becoming images in blown like neon things. And these pieces create a neon pieces thing. Each of the, sometimes I'm frustrated that I heard some colleagues and some artists that they're frustrated because they are lack of ideas. In my case, I just can't do, because of time and many things, less than 5% of the ideas that I write every time in the books. I'm sure that works generates works, work generates ideas, ideas generates works, and is the way that I work in the studio in many ways. It's an appearance. This is the great burnt paper. I did it in my stove, in my house in Mexico. We don't have fire alarm. It would be impossible to do this in Seattle or New York or the US. We are very unsafe in many things, but I have to repaint many times my kitchen because it was a lot of smoke all the time working there. But the black toner becoming a monochrome. And look at the perfect landscape, the perfect architecture, the perfect structure that has a burnt paper. If it breaks, still as a piece, is irreplaceable, irrestorable, but it's a broken piece. Thanks God that there are just 16 pieces with 43 works, and none has been destroyed since 2007 until now. 20 years, 19 years with no broken pieces. And those are the way that they are shown in pedestal. And with the neon, as the same things that you saw in the burnt papers, I start using the neon things. This is the biggest piece I have done. That is, there are close to 5,000 characters done by hand. It's like a computer animation, but it's all done by hand. It's an 18 by 11 by 3.5 meters piece with these 5,000. This is, if I can explain how can I see letters and why I never could write a written exams in school, is this. To me, if I can explain in an image how a dyslexic like me could see text and a written exam, is this. It will be impossible to write any. I always beg the teachers that I study, I know everything. I don't know why I cannot write it, but ask me and I can tell you. And he said, no, you have to do the exam. I was the fish in the tank doing exams as climbing trees. It was impossible. In architecture and the master, I was sure that there will be no exams, and it was amazing. Everything changed. I cannot have a written exam ever in my life. And I don't know. This is thanks God that right now I'm an artist and I'm 57. And let's see, this is right now a smaller version that is at Museo Marco in Monterrey, where the Jumex Museum exhibition was done. And it's incredible. You can spend hours. And with that, this is part of the series. This is another way that I always write. I love to separate characters, count, and put them in alphabetical order to create these kind of things, as the title that is presented with this lecture. This is like a neon sign, but by hand-carved obsidian. That is incredible. I asked the best artisans in Mexico at Teotihuacan pyramids to do this, but all of them, they said, it's impossible. They are 1 centimeter thick. With the machines, with the vibration and the heat, they will break. And the last one I interview, I said, okay, if it's break, give it to me as a failed piece and do it again and do it again until you did it. And they say, yes. I called the next day and I say, you never told me how much will be this. And he said, no, first let me do it and then we can talk about the price. And I say, this is the guy. This is not doing by money, just as a challenge, and I want him. When he was giving me the mistakes, they were incredible. And to me, a mistake, a failed piece, could be an art piece. What could be better or more important? The successful piece of the mistake. This is the forward and the back, the front and the back of each of these mistakes, that they are incredible. And I say, maybe there are ideas that they cannot be done technically, but just trying to do the impossible sounds better than if I have the success pills. All this is forward and backward, the way I am, in a way, that as a left-handed, as a dyslexic. And here is another piece. It's the smallest piece of the Museo Jumex exhibition. It's a coin of 1 peso from the 1980s, that it was a miscoined, is a mistake of a machine. This coin has to be discarded and has to be, they need to burn it and recuperate the metal to create another coin. Lose the value of 1 peso, but as a rare piece, someone stole it from the corruption of Mexico to give it to a person that gives to collector of coins. And as a rare thing and unique thing besides identical things, has a better value. If an artist like me bought it and presented it as a piece, the value could be even higher or nothing, even because I will never gonna put this into the market. To me, it's the best way to explain many things as an artist. This is a mistake of the letters. With the letters, I start doing images, and this is like architecture something, and there are mistakes of other things. When he gave me the first successful piece, it was incredible. And here I'm showing in this series the monochrome is the step 1, 3, 5, and 9 of a hand-carved obsidian. This is the beginning and this is the end. The title is 4,145 grams, is what lose from step 1 to step 9. What disappear and you cannot see is the title of the piece. And this is a process of how the process of a hand-carved obsidian could be the repetition and the difference of any art of the pieces. The most complicated step is from the number 5 to the 9, where everything breaks, and you have to start and start and start and start again. I wait 11 years to build my house, so I'm patient in many ways, and I don't care to be doing this kind of repetition in many ways. The exhibition was incredible. It was at Proyectos Monclova in Mexico City, and it was a very simple and powerful thing. And with this, I started using also obsidian, black obsidian and golden supreme obsidian, to create these paintings. That is a kind of landscape and is a kind of, to me, architecture, maybe inspired by the constructivism on Zaha Hadid and many others. And they are kind of structures that they are always. What is more incredible about these black obsidian things, they are sides of obsidian of 1 to 2 millimeters, very thin, and they are very sharp. They can carve, they are very sharp, and they can cut yourself. But the iridescence of the golden supreme, if you change the light of the photograph, it will be repeated. It changes all the time. You have the same image, the same thing, but every time you change the light, the piece changes by itself. Here, I'm going to be very fast. I'm using matches, burning matches, to create pieces with painting. The sound and the smell. Everybody smells the matches in the studio, even that we are doing with mask and open air. But it's really incredible how the size of matches is creating the surface of painting through an action, cancelling function and services of things. Burning matches. All these images are from Jumex Museum, that they are incredible. The colorful thing on the back are post-it flags from blocks as the human hair drawings, that they are incredible. Those are the thousands and thousands of matches to create a piece of 30 by 30 centimeters with 18,016 matches, one stick to the other one, creating a monochrome, creating a painting, using with the same cube with different cuts to create a kind of grid, using shoe soles. I have been looking my shoes, and I always, if I am 80 kilos of weight and I have 2 legs, each of the legs receive 40 and 40 kilograms, but not. All my shoe soles from the right feet are more devastated than the left feet. I saw the shoe soles from my partner, friends, and family, and they happen in the opposite way. I'm left-handed, I'm putting more on my weight of my right feet. I'm using the right side of the brain that is connected with creativity, and that's why I'm an artist. And it's kind of a balance in a way. The right-handers, you have to see your shoe soles maybe when you are back in your house to see improvement. There will be exception for sure, but the right-handed, they will be more devastated in the left shoe sole, and they are using the left side of the brain that is connected with other things. So this is one of my pairs of shoes, and I use them until I have holes. And this is incredible. That is a 288 shoe soles, 144 left, 144 right. Each of these is a shoe sole from right feet, left feet, all with holes, is 50% left-handed and 50% right-handed. If I am a criminologist and using the theory, I will know what kind of person I'm looking just by the shoe soles of them, if they are right or left-handed in a way. And I don't know if someone has done these kind of questions. That's why I love to see art as a question. This is the right and the left feet. So this is a right-handed, left-handed, right-handed, left-handed. I love the numbers and character by repeated images that the person put to don't lose the purse. And I'm gonna go really fast because I need to stop. This is the Barragan house in Mexico, that they are the speakers, that when I saw this in 2013, the next day I went to the flea market and I saw this TV from the 50s or 60s, and the same, the speakers were marking the fabric of these speakers. And I really love the idea how a drawing and a painting could be done by sound of music, bad and good news, and many other things, because the acoustic boxes has a fabric, and the sound and the music absorb and exhale the air, and the dust of the spaces create these shapes of the speakers that to me are paintings and drawings. The Drawing Center in New York in summer 2016, 10 years ago, presented as a one piece. This is at Jumex Museum. It's a one piece. It's a mirror image. 55 speakers on the left, 55 speakers on the right, and it's creating these things. It's the same of the letter M. It's the same thing when I was 4 until the same last thing that I have done yesterday is exactly the same. In the 79 guide tours I did at Jumex, I did it with a group of children with autism, and we were talking about many things. And I don't know why we came in, I finished, so this is the last slide to open the questions. But I just want to say this. It was really interesting that I said, how many people you know that they are painting landscapes or portraits of people and these kind of things? And they say, a lot. How many people do you know that they are painting with eggshells? And they say, one. And I say, who? And they say, you. What does that mean? And the result and the answers, they were incredible. There was one boy, little boy, that he started saying me the brands of each of the speakers just looking by the fabrics. And it was incredible. He was jumping, very excited, looking into those things. I did another guide tour with deaf and with the Mexican language sign. And it was an experience. It was incredible. And I love that right now the dyslexia is not connected as something bad, but neurodivergent. That is a term appeared in the late 90s. The dyslexics are not bad in a way. It's just a different way of seeing and thought. And it's really incredible. That's why I was pleased that I was worried that I'm designed to see mistakes. The first thing that I see everywhere that I see, I start looking all the things that they are wrong or mistakes in many ways. And that's why there are things that they are really trying to reach perfection, as Gabriel, as Javier introduced in the beginning. And there are other ones that they are random and freedom, that they are destroyed and just as they are. There are things that I do by myself. I do things with through instruction and directions by third persons. And there are things that they are done just initiating or finding objects without the touch of any human. So thank you so much, and we are open for questions and answers. Thank you. I did extra 10 minutes, sorry about that.
Thank you so much for that presentation. It was very wonderful. The question that I have is about your use of obsidian and how you're fascinated with things, going forward and going back. Obsidian is a stone that is in a state of perpetual crystallization. There's no obsidian that is older than 20 million years old. Have you thought about using obsidian that has the crystals that are starting to form?
I don't know if I understand the question, but obsidian has maybe millions of years of old.
It's a stone that will never stay obsidian. It will eventually become a crystal.
Obsidian is actually a volcanic crystal. It's not a rock, it's a crystal. When you cut it, I cut them very thin, 1 to 2 millimeters, and they are translucid in a way. It's glass, volcanic glass. The obsidian is created because it has with the lava and erupted volcanoes. It's very hot and then get cold very fast and then crystallize. So they are really sharp and has maybe hundreds of thousands of million years of age. That is really incredible. And I really like many things of the obsidian. Since I was a little boy, I loved the blackness of the obsidian, sharpness and the shiny of the obsidian. It was used as mirror and also as doors for other entities, in a way, as the mirrors. And there's a goddess, Aztec goddess in Mexico that is Papalotl, that is obsidian butterfly. I really love how the Aztecs, they have this connection of eternity as an obsidian with the fragility of a butterfly, and it was the goddess for the mothers or the women that died through giving birth. So it was interesting to me, this connection of death and birth, and the metamorphosis of the butterflies is amazing how, to me, it's a double birth and a double death. Starts from an egg, then a worm, the oruga, then the cocoon, and then the butterfly, and dies. So it's a double birth, a repeated double birth, and repeated double death. And even that the fragments of the butterflies are dead, still alive through the colors and the patterns, that they are extremely bright, that they are incredible. So, but the obsidian is very stable, could be eternal in a way. And I don't know if this answered your question.
Yes.
Where did you get all the butterfly wings that you used in your work? And the eggshells and like, where do you?
All the materials I have been working, I work with organic, inorganic, and synthetic materials. I'm looking to flea markets everywhere. I'm looking to the sidewalks everywhere, and when I see something interesting from the street, sometimes I collect it and put it in the trunk of my car, and I start collecting, filling storages and classifying, and waiting to the series to use them in a way. With the eggshells, I bought the eggs, I eat some, and some relatives and family, they eat it. When we need a lot of eggshells, we donate part of the inside to some kind of restaurants in Mexico that they have free meals for people that they doesn't have money to eat. And we donate it by containers, and we clean the eggshells and we classify. The butterflies, we ask for some butterfly farms from different countries that they are, and I ask for the dead ones because they need to finish the function of the service that they were created for. I don't care if they have damaged wings or missing antennas or these kind of things, because I can classify it and use what I really need in a way. With the feathers, they are commercial feathers, that they are white, that they are turkey feathers that I bought in different stores, and then I paint them. The shoe soles, I found them with shoe repairs, and it was funny that the first time I asked for the shoe repairs, I said, what do you do with all the discarded shoe soles with holes? And they said, I throw it away. And I say, can you give it to me? And he looked at me and he said, why? And I say, I'm an artist and I want to do a series with this and see if I can work with this. And he said, no. And I say, why? Because maybe I will need them. But you told me that you will throw it away. And I say, okay, can I buy it for you? And he said, no. And I went to another one, sorry. And I say, can I buy you the shoe soles that they are discarded? And they say, of course not. I throw it away, and you are giving me I'm not going to throw it away, you're going to keep it, so take it free. And I was like, wow, there's two different reactions and responses, and it was amazing. The ceilings, I was just looking through houses from late 19th century through Colonia Roma and Colonia Condesa in Mexico City. And when I see through the windows ceilings that they were really damaged with fabrics, I ring the bell and I say, I'm an artist, I'm Gabriel, I want your ceiling, if it's gonna fall, and maybe I can buy it, and I can buy sheet rock you can give me your fabric and I can put the sheet rock in your ceiling. Someone, they say yes, some people, they just closed the door and they thought that I was invading privacy in a way. And sometimes with some no answers, I put like letters saying, I'm Gabriel de la Mora, an artist, I like your ceiling, and contact me if you want me to exchange for a sheetrock and these kind of things. A lot of negotiation in many ways. And after I was looking at many of the houses, they were they fall down. I was totally freaked out, and I said, I need to hurry because there will be no more ceilings from 19th century anymore. So I collect a lot. I have a storage full of rolls of ceilings of many directions and everything. And I don't know if I'm going to continue with the work, but it's quite interesting. With the fakes, I do a lot of research of cases of collectors, and I have a lot of friends that when they start collecting, they have an experience that they bought a Frida Kahlo or Diego Rivera that they thought that it was an original a long time ago, or there was a gift that because the grandfather was politician, and maybe in the 50s a lot of people get a Diego Rivera painting to a politician as a gift, but they never thought that it was a fake. So there are a lot of stories that they are really incredible, and I went to some galleries to see the archives because they prove that they check what is a fake or what is not, and they have files. And looking with the files and the archives of these galleries, it was amazing. So it's quite interesting, the dust. You saw how I collect the dust of my house and apartment, and now from the museums, and they agree. Sometimes they disagree. I ask for institutions that they have fakes, but it's another process, and I can never convince an institution to exchange a fake for an original of mine. So I'm still trying. I don't give up. I'm patient, and I can wait and see if I can do it. No? Thank you. Did I answer? No.
Everybody's invited to join us at LMN, the shop in First Avenue. So there's going to be some drinks over there, and if you want to have a further conversation with Gabriel, you may be welcome to join us, though. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you. And thank you so much for coming.